Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I did a take yesterday. And I was like getting drunk and starting to repeat myself. So anyway, today's Saturday, and yesterday, it wasn't too bad. Just there was a little bit of drama that ensued on the job site, and it almost turned to drama. But anyway, I called the QC and explained the situation. To explain the situation, and it turns out he had an emergency. He was at the hospital, and I was like, "Where are you at? We got drama on concrete land." I'm at the hospital. I said, "Who got hurt?" He's like, "Nobody. My sister-in-law coded giving birth." I was like, "Oh well, fuck. My drama don't compare. Hey, take care, family. Bye. Call me later. I'll tell you. We'll handle it. We'll handle it." So he called me back about 2 hours later. Someone might have called, and he asked me my situation, and I said, first of all, the mechanics of my truck are different because I've got a new truck with fold-up chutes, and there's an old truck, that came in behind me, and he's got that flip nose where he puts all four chutes on for himself, and he is roughly about 18 inches longer than me. There's that. So he could probably reach a little further, but the configuration from which we're pouring. All right, so I'll give you the timeline of events. First, when they break ground, they do the pier pods, and we went in and did about 100 of those. And they're, 2.5, 3 yards worth of concrete each. And then they put these little post anchors in, and then they erect these steel beams, and that holds the roof on, and the rafter mechanisms for these warehouses. But we pour the slab. Then we pour the slab. They form it all up, and we do it in increments, like 600-yard cubes to build the floor of this warehouse. Then on top of these cubes, they form up the walls, and they call them tilt-ups. And we have to do those with a pump. Now, meanwhile, now they're doing this out of order. They didn't do it like this the last time, and I think they're doing it to save time. But this time, where they have constructed these tilt-ups, they are constructing the footing. So they have already poured the footing in front of all of these formed, laid down walls that we're pumping, right? And the boom on the pump only goes so far. So every 200 yards or so, it's got to pack up, move location, and reset up. Meanwhile, to save time, the contractor likes us to tailgate it off of the truck. In the past, it was easy because the footing wasn't there. Now, they have a chasm. And the way they construct their footings, they need a 6 to 8 foot ditch because you got to get 2 guys in there to construct the wood forms of the footing. So after we pour it and they pull the forms off, there's 3 feet on either side of this little, assembled footing tower thing in this ditch. They still got to backfill it, right? So the guy comes up to me and he's like, "I need you to pour it out of the truck." And I was like, "I can't get up there." And he's like, "What do you mean?" Well, the center of the footing, and it's like 20 inches, right? In the narrowest part, there's 3, they got 30, 20, 30, and they got these it looks like that, all the way down. Like castle wall kind of thing. At the center, from there to the edge of the slab, is roughly 10 to 15 feet. Anywhere. However. And, depends on how they construct it. Anyway, and then from the ditch, there's another 3. So if you add that up, my chutes, 4 chutes from my tire to the 4th chute is about 18 feet. Because I have flips, I have folds, right? And the older trucks have an extra 18-inch nose flip that puts their 4 chutes on. So they're longer than us. They can reach further. So anyway, trying to explain this to 2 people who don't speak English was a challenge. And they thought I was being contrary. And I was like, I'm not gonna waste your time and make a mess. And I need somebody to talk to that is gonna listen. And the guy that I needed to talk to was up on the thing, you know. So he comes by and he looks at my trunk number and he's like, I needed you up there. And I was like, I was up there. I can't reach. I said, it's too far away. My truck, my chutes are too short for what you need. Oh, so he grabs the other guy, come up. And the other guy, he's looking at it and he's shaking his head. Well, that guy is looking at him shake his head because he's like, that ain't going to work. And the guy come up and says, the lady said, and then he couldn't understand anything. He's like, yep, whatever she said is probably right. Anyway, the guy goes, hold on. And he grabs a Bobcat and he fills in the chasm. And I said, and me and the other dude that were pouring at the pump, because the pump had to back up, we backed up, got out of his way, sat along the sides waiting for him, you know, to do whatever. We're like, fuck, he's going to be 30 minutes. So let's get out and walk it and see what they're doing. And I said to the guy, I was like, why didn't you do that for me? I would have done everything. Right? And he just smiled, and I was like, fist bump. That's what we needed. I said, this is your project. I am not going to tell you how to do your job. You're going to have to think. Right? So they went ahead and filled in the chasm so we could get that 1 cube done. All right, that 1 cube of wall area. And so the dude that was behind me went ahead and poured out first. I came in, flipped the chutes down, added another chute, got in there and finished it up. And then went ahead and folded back up. And when the pump was ready, emptied out. You know, whatever. Consequently, by the good graces of God, I got empty before the cube was actually finished. So the next truck that came in was a flip down. They flipped him down about 2 chutes, finished that one up, and then he was able to flip back, get on the pump, and everything, you know, everything worked out good, right? So for the most part, the problem was mitigated, but it almost created drama. So I went ahead and got washed down. And I called the QC to find out that his, you know, sister-in-law was in the hospital and shit was kind of cray-cray. And so he did call me back later and I explained everything to him as to how it had gone down. And he was like, they tried doing that to so-and-so the other day at the other job over there. And I was like, did they not learn? He's like, apparently not. He's like, someone called me saying that, you know, one of the drivers was having an attitude. So when you called, I figured, you know, I said I didn't have an attitude. It wasn't that I wouldn't. I couldn't. And it didn't make sense to. Because it would have made a damn mess. So later in the morning, about 190 yards in, again, after the pump had moved, a different guy, thank God speaks English, came up to me and said, hey, can you come over here and pour it out of the truck? I said, I would love to. I said, but you're going to need to grab the Bobcat and fill in the chasm so I can get up to it. Oh, no, we ain't doing that shit. I was like, that's what he had to do on the last one. He goes, so you've already tried it? I said, yeah. We can't reach. I said, and it's pointless. Where we actually come to the form, it's barely hanging over. Oh, shit. I was like, it's the footing is in the way. If you fill in the ditches around that footing that you've poured, fill in that chasm, we can climb up there and get up there. Close enough to the form to make a dent. He was like, gotcha. I said, it's not a can't. It's not a won't. It's just impractical to even try it. I said, and then they're going to want us to shoot it, which is going to cause a bottleneck, and it's going to rain all over your product that we're sitting on top of. He's like, damn. I was like, yeah, it makes a fucking mess. It absolutely makes a mess. I said, now, if we're on top of the footing, the mess will stay somewhere contained if we shoot it. But if you've got us stretching across it, the rain, concrete rain, oh yeah, and someone's gonna have to clean it up. I said, and with the way this mix is acting right now, that shit's gonna set on contact, and not a good idea, just not. And he's like, I hear you, I got you. Said, I mean, I can pull over there and you can stretch the hose out as far as you want, and you can like spray the shit out of it and kind of try to save it while the pump moves. If you need that, I'll help you with that. He's like, there's a thought. I said, but don't you guys got a potable truck? He's like, yeah, we do. I was like, yeah, you might need to get him over here during these pump jobs. Anyway, so I finished pouring out and got out of there, and then he routed me back home. So that was my day. Dude called me. I explained him the situation. And yeah, before, when they done these projects before, they had done the tilt-ups, done the pump operation part of it, before they did the footing part of it. So we were able to climb, like if it was above the grade, we literally like be like this, and the chutes would be pointing down like this, and we'd be pouring some of their stuff while the pump was relocating, because there was no footing there in the way. They cut it after. So yeah, it's just, they did it different, and they got ahead of themselves and painted themselves into a corner. So anyway, not my circus, not my monkeys. I just poured the concrete. But anyway, little back Monday night, it was like midnight. I had to be into work. I woke up with a scorching sinus infection, and I tried to remedy taking some shit like Zambuca and whatever I had here on hand. I don't normally keep cold medicine type of thing, and some herbs and whatnot, and tried to calm this thing down. But by the time I got to work, it was zonking me on Monday. So what you're hearing is the lingering downhill spiral of this sinus infection that I got, and it's the third one I've had this year. I call it the one buddy that had messaged me while I was pouring that driveway. I asked him, I was like, is there a pot? You've been in this industry for like 30 years. Is there a germ in the fly ash? He goes, no, but there is silica in the cement. And I was like, no, it's not the silica, because it's not lungs. It bothers my throat, but it's not lungs. It's the throat. The throat, like, locks up, and then I can't breathe. But I can, if I can, yeah, lungs are fine. His throat gets all scratched up, nose runs like a beast. It's horrifying. I mean, it's the third one I've had since January. I said every time it's after, I go to a certain plant and get a certain mix, and I think it's a fly ash. He's like, it could be. He goes, nothing's impossible with this industry, nothing. So, anyway, that is all. There is a ride going on for the VFW today. I have not been on one in forever and ever. Amen. I have the little thumbnail in my other phone. We were supposed to get rain. There was a screaming ugliness on the radar yesterday. One of the guys said, yeah, we're going to get hammered. I said, really? He's like, I'm not even paying attention to shit right now. I've been like getting home, drinking 2 beers, and going to bed because I've been sick all week. And I happened to look at it, and that thing looked mad. And I was like, I said, buddy, could do what it did the last time. He goes, what did it do? It was about 3 weeks ago. We were supposed to get hammered. He's like, yeah. I said, it went around us. And it dissipated by the time it got to the edge of Arkansas. He's like, yeah, that's right, it did, didn't it? I was like, yeah, we got that one little angry cell. Kind of made shit a little weird, and then it went away. And then I said, this one came in, and it was huge. And then I looked at it yesterday after I got home from work, and it had dissipated. And now it's like going underneath us. And I was like, yeah, we ain't getting shit today. So I'm going to go and get cleaned up, get dressed, and get the bike out. And hopefully I don't fucking drop it. That, or if I do, again, I'll say a prayer, and hopefully my buddy's spirit will come and help me lift it up. But yeah, that was just so weird. So I've had a very strange and eventful week. But this cold is finally breaking. It's 68 degrees inside here right now, and I'm sweating. I'm sweating like a beast. I took my temperature. It's not doing anything, and I'm like, I don't know. Is it menopause or is it the flu? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, I'm doing coffee and waking up, and it's about 5, almost 6 o'clock in the morning. So y'all have a great weekend. I am off. It's my birthday today. So, don't know what other than that ride, yeah. The mess is going to wait. I'm going to go have fun. Y'all, take care. Peace. Say prayers for each other. Be good to each other. Have a great weekend. Bye.